Do you feel anxious in even the most mundane of social situations? Maybe the thought of participating in an improv comedy class is like something out of your worst nightmares. Well, it certainly was for me. In this video, I'll share with you how I managed to change that and reduce my social anxiety through the power of improv, and 5 of the key lessons I learned from going to 60 improv classes in 12 weeks. Hey there, I'm Neil and I struggle with social anxiety for more than 2 decades. On this channel, every week I'll be bringing you the best methods and strategies that I've used in my life to feel more confident. So for those of you that don't know, improv is a form of theatre, often comedy, in which most or all of what is performed is unplanned or unscripted, created spontaneously by the performers. First of all, when it comes to actually doing improv online, I found that I still got most of the confidence benefits as if I'd been to a real life session. So before I actually went online during the pandemic with improv, I'd already done several classes in real life, and I'd even performed in a live improv show as well. And I found that most of the traditional improv activities you could do online anyway, so there was plenty of stuff to fill the time and you got a lot of benefit from doing it. I did find that the anxiety levels I experienced at going to online improv sessions were fairly similar to what I experienced in real life. Not quite as high, but it wasn't too far off, and there was also the added awkwardness of just doing things over a webcam and going into like one-to-one breakout rooms with people that you hadn't met before. It felt quite strange, but it was a really good way to just practice meeting new people and just doing weird stuff. So it was definitely an interesting experience, and also it cut down on travel time to sessions as well, and you could go to a lot more in a week if you wanted to just really get those repetitions in over and over again. So it was a really great activity to do to work on reducing social anxiety levels. Improv is actually a really great way to just get these constant repetitions of putting yourself out there over and over again. So those of us that struggle with social anxiety, we really tend to hold back and we wait for other people instead of putting ourselves forward first. So I actually challenged myself at these sessions to really try and volunteer to do things as much as I possibly could. So for instance, when the host would ask for things like a relationship between 2 characters, or maybe a location, or even just to demonstrate an activity that we were going to be doing, so I'd just try and put my hand up and just say really whatever came to mind without even thinking whenever I could, and I just found that to be really beneficial. Of course, this gets easier and easier, like the more you become familiar with the sessions, you sort of know the types of activities that are going to be coming up, and the more I did it, it kind of got to the point where I would just deliberately try and hold back from volunteering just to give other people a chance. So I wasn't always the person that was putting myself forward, which is like crazy because that's like exactly the opposite of what I used to be like. So it's really good. Like the more you do it, then it really does just get easier and easier. The groups I went to would vary a lot, and one of them would actually begin by warming people up by putting them in one-to-one breakout rooms for 1 minute each. This was for like the first 5 minutes, so you'd get about 5 minutes meeting 5 different people one-to-one and doing a very basic, a very quick improv scene. And this is just really great exposure to just really get over that feeling of like being uncomfortable meeting new people, and you really get to familiarize yourself with that, which is really, really good. And it's all from the comfort of your own home as well. The more you do improv, you learn to really get out of your head and to really peel back the layers and stop filtering so much about what you're going to say, and you just say things instead, and you'll just naturally start to speak up more, and it helps a lot with speaking up in meetings just in general. The anticipatory anxiety around these sessions as well does drop fairly rapidly, especially if you do it in quick succession. So when I first started my first ever session, just because I'd not been to an online one before, I'd say it was at least around a 5 out of 10. But then quickly after about 10 sessions or so, I'd say it dropped down to less than a 3. And then maybe after I'd done nearly like 50 or so, it dropped to around a 2 as well. I mean, I'd say over time, the more you do it, the slower it is to drop further, but it doesn't take long until the worst of the anxiety is overcome towards the beginning. So you've just got to do it and do it in quick succession, and it just gets easier and easier. Another very important thing that I did learn by going to all these improv classes was that although a lot of the anticipatory anxiety did go down, and I did manage to put myself out there a lot more by volunteering and actively participating in sessions, just by simply doing exposure activities by themselves will only get you so far. At the time, I didn't have such a great handle on the cognitive aspects of overcoming social anxiety. And I think the further I got into things, the more apparent that did become, and I did realise that doing the cognitive therapy alongside doing all these behavioural exposure activities is extremely important. And I learned that I needed to do a lot more focus on the cognitive side as a result of that. If you do have a lot of automatic negative thoughts and have perhaps had traumatic experiences in the past and even have low self-esteem that contribute to the social anxiety that you experience today, then doing the cognitive therapy simultaneously with the behavioural side of things is very important to see the best results. The final thing I did find was that I never really enjoyed going to the sessions all that much. They always felt like hard work. I never really felt like I wanted to actually go to them. Even though it got better in terms of anxiety, it always felt like a chore just going to them, and I just felt like I was counting down the days until I could stop doing them and just take the benefits of what I got and move on to something else. That's not to say that there weren't times where I found bits of sessions enjoyable and I did genuinely laugh and find it funny just performing scenes or even watching other people performing scenes, but I think really I learned the value of just going after and doing activities that you want to do instead of just forcing yourself to do something simply because it seems like a good thing to try. I have actually spoken to some people at social anxiety groups that I've been to in the past that have tried new activities they thought they'd never enjoy, and it's actually turned out that they've really liked them and they've continued to go back and do them again, and they hadn't tried them in the past just because the mere thought of doing it just caused them so much anxiety. There was one guy, for instance, that tried karaoke and he'd never done it before and he thought he'd hate it. It turned out he really liked it, and now he goes back regularly and just does it again and again because it's actually one of his newfound passions in life. So you never know, just try new things and you may find that you enjoy them a lot more than you're expecting and find new passions in your own life. I think it's fair to say from my perspective that I gave improv a really good go, having been to more than 100 classes now, and I'd highly recommend it to anybody that's looking to step out their comfort zone just to try new things, just to see if they like it, because you never know. Improv didn't have that life-changing effect for me that I really hoped it would have, but I did learn a lot from it, and I have read stories of other people on the internet that say they tried going to some improv classes and it did really change their life. So you never know, it could be that you're one of those people, if you go to a class, that it really does have a profound impact that you weren't expecting. It did teach me to just stick with activities and events that I do actually quite enjoy doing anyway. So nowadays I go to more just general social events. I'll do things like pub quizzes, maybe board game events, I play football, I do that kind of stuff because these are the things that do still stretch me a lot, but I also actually enjoy the activity itself rather than just forcing myself to do things like improv. So it's fair to say that I won't be going to an improv class again anytime soon. If you enjoyed this video and you want to watch more, then check out my next one where I'll be talking about some simple slowing down strategies that you can use to start getting on top of social anxiety. Thank you so much for watching. If you found it valuable, then please hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.